Hello, everybody, and welcome to this short conversation between myself and my dearest colleague, Stef Chubioski. Hi, Stef.
Hi, well done. That was really well pronounced. Well done.
Some people already know Stef from some lovely former coaching programs that Steph and I offered before. And today we do want to talk to you about a lovely opportunity that we have coming up during this climate of uncertainty. But before we talk about that opportunity, I thought it might be nice, Steph, if we had a little conversation just about the current demands on people and the sort of uncertainty that they're living in, because it looks to me at the moment like rather than slowing down, humans are speeding up even more. And that fascinates me because the whole world has kind of locked down and shut down and there's nowhere to go. But I'm seeing again that as insecurity rises and people become fearful of the future and the unknown, they're getting faster and faster internally. You know, I have people coming to me saying, I gotta get my stuff up online. I gotta sort out my bills. They're not realizing that their experience of pressure and demands and urgency is a result of that speedy insecurity inside. So I'd like to start there for a few minutes. You know, what are you seeing in this area? Does that ring true for you as well? And what would you say to that?
Absolutely, yeah. I love what you said there, Grace. It seems to be the topic on everybody's agenda at the moment. So even when I'm talking to people about other aspects of their life, that seems to be the one that is weighing quite heavily on them at the moment. And I absolutely agree with you. When people are worried and in fear about the future, their minds speed up, and all of a sudden their ability to make decisions and their ability to think clearly and to relax is really constricted, and it just seems to me that everybody can see that when we have less on our mind, life is lighter. When we have less on our mind, we have more clarity around things. It's easier to see solutions in the moment. So it's really important to have the conversation where people can begin to see what their experience is made of, what they're feeling right now in terms of anxiety and stress, where that is coming from. And as soon as people begin to see, just even get a glimpse of it, then that constriction, that heaviness, that weight begins to dissolve and life comes back into clarity. There's more a feeling of calm. There's more a feeling of being in this moment where right now everything seems okay, rather than thinking forward into the future about what will happen here, what will happen there, what happens if this happens, what will I do then? When we come back to this moment, we automatically begin to feel lighter, and we see more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
We settle.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something important there, Steph. You know, being able to be in this conversation at this level is such a gift. I mean, I feel blessed to be able to have you, and I know that you feel the same, that we can just call each other up and, you know, and be in this type of conversation at this level. And I think that for many people out there, they're, you know, they don't have that possibility or opportunity necessarily around them right now. And so the freak out and the urgency and the stress seems to get, they seem very compelled by that. You know, they seem very innocently taken down by that. There's something about, you know, the number of times that people have said, well, how are you so optimistic and positive, Grace? You know, you're in Italy, you're in the epicenter of this particular crisis at the moment. And it really looks to me now like when the house, the inner house, is built on solid rock rather than quicksand, no challenge can knock it down. You know, I see an inner resiliency, and in others too, that really understand what you and I have been sharing. I see an inner resiliency that is solution orientated rather than problem fascinated. You know? There's something there. There's something about when the house is built on rock and not quicksand. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when we see the true nature of who we are and what we have going for us, we can see that it's absolutely true that we are built for now. We are built for creation, and we're built for problem solving, and we're built for finding innovative solutions in this moment. Not the future, not the past, not what we already know, not what we've already done. This moment is what we're built for. Millions of years of evolution have brought us to this place. And the more we begin to see that, the more we can begin to trust this solid ground, the more we see that that's how it works. Mm-hmm. The more that we see that when we're not bombarded with stress and worry, and it's difficult, I know, because it seems that everybody else is in the same place. There's no respite from it. But when we can see that settling down, paying less attention to the noise, not ignoring it, not trying to get rid of it, but just paying less attention to it, seeing it for what it is, allows us to touch this space where we get ideas pop into our head.
Yeah.
new ideas that we've never thought before, fresh solutions, fresh thinking that is designed for this moment. It can't be before. We can't plan a solution ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's just insecurity. But in this moment, the more we see that, the more we realize that we have everything we need right here, right now. And that's solid ground.
Yeah. Yeah, wisdom in the moment. You know, I share with my clients this kind of analogy of, if you look at the news, often there's the news broadcaster and then there's the ticker tape running across the bottom of the screen. And I liken the broadcaster as sort of sensible, clear, you know, our inner wisdom, if you like, direct, clear, but humans spending all their time, you know, tuning out of the main broadcaster of wisdom and into the ticker tape of insecurity that's running across the screen, running through our head of everything else we need to worry. So I love that. Yeah, there's this beauty of wisdom that emerges as we settle down. Why do you think settling down, and obviously I have my own opinion on this, but I'd love to hear yours, Stef. Why do you think settling down is the key thing for humanity right now?
Okay, I'm going to bring out a prop now. This is a snow globe. Okay? People might have seen something similar in this analogy, but what happens when we get caught in our thinking about the future, in our worry about not knowing, then we shake up our mental snow globe. We have all these thoughts that are just flying around and we can't discern one from another. We're trying to find a way to fix ourselves and fix the way we feel, because our snow globe being shaken up, it feels horrible. You know, it feels really uncomfortable. So what's important to see is that when we begin to see what's creating the confusion, when we can see what's creating the noise, which is basically us overthinking, adding thought onto more thought onto more thought. When we just begin to see that, there's a moment where we can let go and not pay attention to it. Not have to get rid of the feeling, but when we let go, it settles. We don't have to do anything. That is our natural state. When we're not stirring up the waters, when we're not shaking the snow globe, our natural state is that we don't have to do anything to touch the space. And when we're in that space, there's clarity. We can see what's important. We can see what needs to be done. We know that all we have to do is do what's right in front of us. Instead of thinking about the to-do list and this and that and everything else that needs to happen, there's clarity about what needs to be done when the mind is still.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Love that. Mm-hmm. Well, ladies and gents, those of you listening, some of you will be saying to yourself right now, well, how do I get my mind to be still? How do I get my snow globe to quieten down and my ticker tape of insecurity to shut up? Stef and I both point people in that direction. But there's a way that we do that we have found to be really, in my opinion, the most effective. It's kind of like meditation without meditating, if you like. Sometimes it's been described like that. And we have found this to be the one thing that can quieten down the internal noise for the long term. Not just talking about the quiet you get when you get on your yoga mat. You know, we all know that when we get on our yoga mat or we do our meditation, you know, once we're back into our everyday activities and life at home, that feeling of calm, of relax, of certainty, of confidence, of clarity quickly dissipates, and we find, oh God, we need more yoga mats, we need more self-care, we need another massage. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was someone who, at the height of my madness, at the height of my snow globe, was walking the streets of different cities searching for yet another massage, because that looked like the answer for an hour, and then boom, back into life, back into the snow globe thinking, and more was needed.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about here is something that is so much more profound than a quick exercise technique or self-care, you know,
strategy.
And this is something that has changed. It literally, for me, Steph, it has changed the speed at which I live.
Yeah.
I mean, it has taken me from fast-paced, insecure, self-conscious, burnt out, to a much quieter internal and external experience of life. A more graceful pace is how I would describe it. You know, it's so back to the point for you all listening. Some of you have been touching that space with Stef and I, perhaps in coaching sessions, perhaps you've been on retreat with us in Italy, perhaps you've been on our online course together. And today we invite you to an opportunity to really slow down from within, to take that snow globe in your head of insecurity and to have an opportunity to really ground and set your house on the correct foundations. Because the challenges are going to come and go. But if you are built of rock rather than quicksand, and that's what we have on offer here, if you are built on rock, nothing can faze you. Nothing can knock you off course. And it looks to me like humanity is speeding up, despite the fact there's nothing in the external world making them go faster.
Yeah.
Everything's closing right now. But that internal world of anxiety and fear and I don't know where to start. I got so many ideas, I don't know what to do and where to start. We'd like to invite you to start with slowing down from within, which may seem a little counterintuitive, if that's the word, as many of you are facing situations of financial concern, as many of you are facing situations of not knowing your employment status, as many of you are facing situations where you can't work the way you used to, perhaps. We'd like to invite you to come into our space for 2 days online in a very deep retreat way, where we will explore and share with you this understanding that has literally changed the pace of our life, changed our experience of life, and more than anything will allow you to come back home to center in a way that lasts for the long term, rather than in a way that requires you to constantly grab on to more and more strategy and self-care and more of whatever it is you think you need to be okay. This invitation is for the well-being for the long term. And what Stef and I are doing is we're opening the opportunity for 10 of you to come join us for 2 days on an online retreat where we will be with you for 5 hours per day. There will be a 3-hour slot followed by a break, and then there will be a 2-hour slot on each day. And this will be happening on Friday, the 3rd of April and Saturday, the 4th of April. And I think what I'd like to share, Stef, if you're open to sharing it, is I'd like for you to just speak for a moment about why this is a true retreat. Because it seems like the world is on a collective retreat right now, but you and I know that there's a big difference. So would you share a few words about what's different about this versus people currently being on a collective retreat?
Okay, so yeah, I like that that collective retreat. It seems that everybody is in the unknown. Everybody is in circumstances where they don't have access to their normal activities. They don't have access to other people apart from being online. And that's, as we said, that is causing people some anxiety. That's causing worry and fear and stress. And I think what we aim to do with our retreat, and this is what happens, this is the purpose of a retreat, okay, is that it allows us to, over an extended period of time, it allows us to unplug not only from the world, but unplug from the noise and the worry and the anxiety. It allows us to slow down. It allows us to be in this moment. Instead of, you know what I notice I do sometimes is I'll be working out, which doesn't happen as often as it should, but what happens is I'll be working out and then I'll be thinking about, right, okay, so I need to make sure that the water's warm for the shower afterwards. I need to think about what I'm going to be talking about in a presentation that I'm doing later on in the morning. And what's happening is I'm sacrificing my present moment for the future. I am not concentrating and not benefiting from the moments that I am actually with my body, the moments where I am settled, the moments where I am spending time underneath my thinking. The thing about retreat is that we get an opportunity to spend not just an hour or an hour and a half, and then going back to our life, we get the chance to immerse ourselves in that space beneath our thinking. And that is a magic space. Because that space is where we gain insight. Insight doesn't come from the noise of the world, doesn't come from future thinking or past thinking or worried thinking. Insight, true transformational, behavior changing insight comes from that space underneath our thinking, underneath the noise. So the opportunity to get to spend 3 hours, then have space for reflection, to let it soak in, and then go for another 2 hours in that conversation, and then have more space to let it soak in, to let insights bubble up, to notice what we're seeing without interruption from the outside world. And then another day where we get to talk about what we've seen. We get to spend so much more time in the same space. This is the only space where transformation happens. It's the only space where we can begin to see the world as it really is. When we begin to see the world as it really is, then life looks different. We get to spend time in this moment, and we see the miracles, instead of being lost in detail. We begin to see life and the richness of it. Our conversations and our relationships get so much sweeter. There's more kindness and more love in that place.
Yeah.
It's a magic space, and it's there. But with retreats, it allows us to spend more time there. It allows us to immerse in it. It allows us the opportunity to see and gain insights that we have no other way of gaining.
Yeah. And that is very different, as you can hear, ladies and gents, very different to just being on a collective retreat right now, where you're lost in your thinking all day long. Maybe you're home alone and feeling lonely. I want to point out that the beauty of us coming together into this online retreat space is that we can have this conversation at this high level as a community of people all looking in the same direction. And that isn't to be underestimated, particularly at this time. I hear from clients all the time that the only time they're getting any sort of sanity and any sort of clarity is when they're on the coaching call together with me. And when they go off into their everyday life after that hour and a half, they don't get that connection with anyone else. So my hope is that this space will form a beautiful community for you, whereby you get to engage this conversation at this level in a deeper way than an hour and a half, as Stef mentioned, every week or every other week. And in a way that, quite frankly, if you have been swinging on the pendulum of decisions, or if you have been swinging on the pendulum of sometimes I'm calm and in my wisdom, and then I'm back here and I'm in my fear, my insecurity, and that pendulum has been swinging for you, the beauty of this invitation is that this is an opportunity where that pendulum stops swinging and you come full to the center of your well-being and the truth of who you are. It's a perfect opportunity for anyone right now who's just got many ideas and doesn't know where to start, who's having relationship difficulties, bumping up against some issues in the relationship. Perfect place to be with us next week. For anyone feeling pressured or or feels like the world is giving a lot of demands. For any of you that just are paralyzed with the fear and not knowing, feeling lonely, not knowing what to do, where to go, where to start. And for any of you that just know that you need to stop before you move forward. Retreating does seem like a bit of a strange thing to do when you think you should be out there and urgent and getting things done. But I can promise you that through this experience, your productivity will double. Your ability to get stuff done, handle life's challenges, your ability to move forward will be so much more graceful, and you'll sleep better at night. Stef and I both have coaching from our coaches via retreat. Physically flying to the place to spend time or taking part online. And so it's a no-brainer for us to bring this to you at this time in this way, given that this is the way forward for the moment. So if this opportunity speaks to you, if you'd like more information, please do get in touch. We have 10 spaces, and we're going to price this retreat at $497 as an opportunity for many of you to be able to take part in that. Ultimately, when you come on retreat with Stef and I normally, you're looking at about anywhere between £3,000 and £5,000. So we're making this as accessible as we can. We understand your current situation. There is uncertainty in the air, and we invite you to join us. If nothing else, your hope and faith and ability to navigate life gracefully will be some of the key pieces you'll walk away with. But there's so much more. So get in touch with me, gracefulcoaching@gmail.com, if you'd like more info. If you're certain you want to grab one of those spots, go ahead, message me, email me, and we'll send you over an invoice today. I think that's all I've got to say, Stef. What about you?
Yeah, I guess the only thing that occurred to me was that this is an incredibly beautiful space to spend time in, but it's incredibly practical. So you can bring anything that's on your mind, anything that's an issue for you, any challenge that you're feeling, or anything that you want to create in the world that you've been stuck with, anything. And seeing it from this space is where possibilities will occur to you that you didn't have the imagination to see before. It's where life comes to meet us and shows us what's possible, rather than us trying to do it from our constricted mind. So anything is possible. I really, really would love the opportunity to explore what's possible with you.
Yeah, great reminder. Nothing off limits in this conversation, in this retreat next week. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed our share today. And again, gracefulcoaching@gmail.com if you'd like more info, if you'd like to attend. And lots of love to you all.
Okay, bless you.
Ciao.
Bye.